Welcome to the Lift Your Story podcast with guest Rob Anspach, founder of Anspach Media, author and host of the eHero podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I'm with...
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. We'd like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
This episode, we have Rob Anspach, and he is the founder of Anspach Media and author, and he's also the host of eHero podcast. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for being here. This is great.
Okay, Rob, I've got to ask you. You say you're known as Mr. Sarcasm. Can you expound on that a little bit?
No.
Okay. You are my people. You are my people.
It was one of those things where I've been sarcastic my whole life. But when I started writing books, the first dozen that I wrote were very PC, politically correct. I didn't want to offend anybody. And the more I started sharing my sarcasm online, the more people would gravitate towards me and want to hire me. And they say, wow, you act just like us. We want you to help us. So the last couple of my books, the whole Rob versus series, is my sarcastic take on life and dealing with scammers and morons and humanity. And the last book was Rob versus the Entitled, and it triggered everybody. So, it just, you either like sarcasm or you don't.
So were you surprised at how well you were received?
I was, because, honestly, I thought that I would lose half my following on Facebook. And, I maxed out at 5,000 friends, and I think I have 7,000 or 8,000 on LinkedIn, and nobody left. And I'm like, I am trying to scare you away. But I use sarcasm as a form of what I call rejection marketing. Those that are offended or triggered or just don't get sarcasm, they don't hire me. And then that leaves the people that do like sarcasm, that do like humor and wit and that wicked sense of humor. They're like, oh, you're one of us. We want to hire you and give you lots of money. And to me, that's the best way to do things.
That's a pretty neat little niche you've got.
Yeah, you make money by offending people, so not everybody can pull it off.
In today's world, that's saying something.
And the testimonials I've been getting lately on these Rob versus books are just amazing. I'm glad that I can make people laugh at my stories and I can share. But there are so many people that they'll come to me, they'll try to sell me something, and I turn the script on them, and that story goes in the book. And they usually just end the conversation with an F you and hey, if you're going to do that, you're going to be in a book.
So is that how you came up with the Rob versus?
Well, I had started sharing these stories on Facebook. People call all the time. These scammers, the Visa, MasterCard people, the travel award scammers, and at first I would just curse at them and yell at them and slam the phone down. And I'm like, this is driving my blood pressure up. I can't do this anymore. So I started playing with them, and I started wasting their time and coming up with all kinds of sarcastic answers, and they would stay on the line. And I'm like, so I started jotting them, everything down and sharing these stories out. And people were like, well, you need to create a book because this is great. So the first one was called Rob versus the Scammers. And it helped people, everywhere, how to avoid getting ripped off by phone scammers, email scammers, and then it gravitated. So the more I came out with a new name for a book, the more it triggered people, because the second one, Rob versus the Morons, people didn't know how to take that one. They're like, am I going to be in that book? What are you talking about? they're emailing me. My story's not going to be in there, is it? Yeah. No, I don't actually share their name.
Right.
You know, or I might share their first name, but not their last name. And so I try to take all the curse words out because, you know, little kids read it. I have people, a lot of my clients, you know, they'll share it with their kids because it's very funny. And I had a client call me and they said, yeah, my 8-year-old's reading this. And I'm like, what? And then the other day, someone sent me a video of their 4-year-old grandson who wants to have their grandmother read Rob versus the Entitled to them for a bedtime story. I'm like, wow, people are treating, you know, they're training their kids young in sarcasm. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I'm humbled, but you know, I don't know how I can deal with when I'm 80 years old and these kids are out there being so sarcastic. The whole world's going to be in trouble.
That's
so do you
crazy.
find sarcasm, that people take that, they get intimidated by it?
Some do, because some don't know how to take it. You know, I think, and even my grandson is very sarcastic. I don't know where he gets it from, but you know, I would go out to conventions and conferences and you know, I'll say something and I was out in San Francisco and I was having a conversation with somebody and another guy comes up and he goes, Rob, you're such an asshole. And I turned around and I'm like, yeah, I am. And I kept talking with this guy like nothing even fazed me. And he later came up to me and he says, you know, the things that you say are kind of polarizing. I said, yeah, okay. And but after that, he became, you know, a good friend, and I've interviewed him and put him on my podcast. And I think that people just aren't used to that those comebacks or people who just don't give them, you know, that time. You know, they want that moment, and if you're not going to give it to them, they kind of get offended by it, or they get offended by how you treat them in response to what they say. And to me, it's like, you know what? I'm 52 years old. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people think. I'm going to act the way I want. I can't change it anymore. So, you know.
Well, I mean, I know guys, we're just naturally, I think, sarcastic. We're growing up, we're always kidding with each other at work. We're always, you know, out trying to outdo each other, kidding, you know, getting one on each other. So to me, I never really, it was just kind of the way it was. I didn't really think of it that way, you know, until I got a little older. But, you know, I've always been sarcastic. I was really bad when I was younger. I've kind of mellowed out a little bit now, but I was very sarcastic growing up and in my early.
You can never mellow out, never.
Oh, trust me, I have tempered, believe me.
You know, for me though, in this consulting business that I've had now for almost 20 years, I started it in 2000, and but you know, before that, I had also a carpet cleaning business for almost 20 years, and the two companies overlapped each other for a while. But in my carpet cleaning days, a lot of my clients were women. And so when I went in there, I could not be sarcastic because I'm there to make money. I'm there to clean their carpets. I'm there to help them. If I used my sarcastic powers, I would probably not be making any money at all. So sometimes you have to tame it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as I started becoming an author and started coaching people, and I realized that not every customer out there is, you know, fit to be, you know, my client. And I need a way to kind of push them away. And it goes against everything that, you know, the marketing gurus teach you. You should attract people. Well, if I have to attract all these people and then have to field through every single one to see which one is going to be a fit, it takes too long. I'd rather just reject them all, and those that really want me are going to find a way to come into my inner circle. And that, to me, that works so much faster and better, and my productivity is better, and I make more money.
Do you think that would work for other people?
It works for a few people. I don't think it works for every people.
Not the masses.
No, not the masses. And in fact, in my book, I put a disclaimer in there that the methods that I use work for me, and I don't encourage anybody else to use them, because, you know, most people are not going to do well right off the bat using sarcasm to attract people. Yeah. You know, and it's not like I put it in there for, you know, to ward off the lawyers who are saying, oh, you can't do. It just, sarcasm doesn't work for everybody. And for me, it's always been my personality, and so you might as well let it out and shine.
Well, that's a pretty interesting transition from a carpet cleaner to a media consultant.
Yeah, it was. It's about a complete 180, and you see, back in 1995, I started the cleaning business, and by 1998, I was almost a dead broke carpet cleaner, and I had no idea how marketing was supposed to work. I just trusted, you know, the phone book companies and the magazines out there to create my ads. Thank God there isn't no more phone books anymore. But no, we've all gravitated towards this online world where I had to learn marketing. So, you know, I went out to Arizona, I went to a convention, I learned marketing and learned from some of the masters. And you know, it was that ability to learn quickly that I took these concepts back into my cleaning business and retooled everything. Rewrote all the ads, redesigned everything myself. I was tired of dealing with very expensive and lousy phone book ads that didn't work. So I created everything from scratch, raised all my prices. And within a year, we turned everything around where I was probably making now double or triple what I was before. And I think it was in 2000, we took our first family vacation down to Disney World. And you know, it was just great because now it was like I finally discovered the secret to, you know, making money was using effective marketing. And since then, we've been to Disney World probably a dozen times. So, you know, it's kind of that thing that reminds me every time we go that this is what I've accomplished. This is what I've done. And now I continue to create brilliant marketing for myself in the cleaning business, but other competitors started seeing what I was doing and asked me to design ads for them. And so I was starting to design ads for them, and then a cleaning magazine asked me to write articles, and everything just kind of snowballed. And in 2013, I wrote my first book. It was called Share. It was all about social media. And that I shopped it around to see which publisher wanted it. And everybody wanted these thick techno books that bored the crap out of people. And I said, no, this is the easiest social media book you're ever going to read. And it was only 120 some pages, and you could read it in about 45 minutes. And so I created my own publishing company and, you know, marketed the book through social media. And within the first few months, we sold 2,000 copies, and you know, it just grew from there. And then I partnered with another person, and we wrote a book on search engine optimization, and that went #1 bestseller in 4 countries. And from that point, I mean, I've been writing about an average of 4 books a year. So I just produced book number 30, 31 or 32 in 8 years.
So let me go back a bit. You said you went to Arizona to learn about marketing. So let me ask you a question. So I'm sure that was a fee seminar or something you had to attend, you had to pay for it, right?
Yes.
So, but by doing that, investing that time and money in that little weekend or week or whatever it was, it cut your learning curve way down and the time to learn marketing way down, right?
It did. And I honestly, I kicked and screamed the whole way there because I didn't really want to go. I just thought, the guy teaching it, Joe Polish, a very brilliant guy, and he had a lot of speakers there, Dan Kennedy and some others. But at the time, Joe had long hair and he looked like a hippie. And I thought, there is no way I'm going to learn marketing from a hippie. And so I already had my preconceived notions of how this was going to pan out. And so I went to Arizona. Was never in Arizona before. Never went to a convention, marketing before. And it just seemed overwhelming when I got there. But, I paid attention. I listened and I actually went back 2 years later. And, I was used as an example of, how to implement all these things, take massive action and turn around your company. And which was kind of cool. And this was before podcasts. We had Joe Polish put out these called Genius Tapes of the Month or something like that. And he interviewed me, and these cassettes went out to all his members, which I think at the time was a couple thousand. And I was getting more and more marketing jobs from that interview, and it was incredible. So yeah, I mean, not only did I take a chance to go to a marketing seminar, but I took massive action, which a lot of people don't do. So
yeah, I was going to ask you before you said it. When you went back, did you go back as a success story?
Yes, I did go back as a success story, and it was one of those pivotal moments where I knew that I didn't want to be a carpet cleaner anymore. But it took time because I went back in 2000. By 2001, we had the 9/11 event, and I made a choice. Okay, do I continue the consulting or do I continue the carpet cleaning? And at the time, there was no air travel. Air travel was stopped, and so I said, well, I'm going to continue this carpet cleaning venture and see where it goes. And I kind of put the consulting on the back burner for a couple of years until, everything kind of returned to normal with air travel. So yeah, it was a trying time because carpet cleaning was never something my wife said, yeah, you'd be good at.
Oh boy, I married a carpet cleaner.
Yeah, and it was, well, we were married a couple of years at the time before I decided to do it, and she just thought I was nuts. But it was one of those, and I look back and I tell people, I said, look, I'm not afraid to share my story about being a carpet cleaner because all the things that I learned, not only cleaning carpet, but designing my marketing and learning social and learning all this other stuff, created the consulting company that I have today. So all the tried and true marketing that I've ever done, I can use for my clients today. Now, some of it is a little outdated because, we don't have phone books anymore. We don't, well, very limited. I mean, they used to be, really thick. Now they're, a notepad. So it's all, Google ads and SEO and web building and a little different, but it's you got to put your marketing message where people are searching.
Even harder now. I know that we used to have our little local newspaper, and that's not even anymore since COVID. It just completely gone now. So not even any sort of form of printed ads are pretty well, except for some magazines out there. But I'm talking about newspapers and dailies and that.
Yeah, I mean, our local magazine is struggling. I mean, our local newspaper is struggling. They've been in business for, since the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And, but, a lot of them now, you can get their digital magazine on your phone. They want you to pay a subscription for it. And I'm like, I don't even read your paper. Why am I going to pay a subscription for the news that I'm going to get for free because somebody's going to share it on Facebook? So you got to look at the balance, you know. And I see that the media companies everywhere, you know, it's not about reporting the news; it's about creating the news. And you know, to me, I'd rather not even look at the news anymore. I'm just too busy creating content for people.
Yeah.
But I can't create sarcastic content for my clients because it won't work for them.
Yeah.
Especially most of them are lawyers and doctors, and that won't bode well.
You don't have any professional sarcasm you can put out there?
I should create a course just for lawyers and doctors because, you know, a lot of them all went to the same Vulcan School of No Emotion. And so, you know, my goal is to try to make them more human, although I think sarcasm would push them over the edge.
I push some of their clients over the edge too.
Yeah. Although, you know, some clients need to be pushed over the edge.
Yeah, no way I'm going to see him.
No. Imagine if you went to a doctor and he was just, his bedside manner was just all sarcasm. You know, would you appreciate him better, or would you punch him in the face?
Well, I'll tell you, I had a heart attack when I was in the hospital. I found out that I was diabetic, and this doctor came to me. She said, "Well, you need to do this, this, and this." And I said, "Well, do I really have to do all that?" And she goes, "Well, do you want to lose your leg?" I go, "Well, no." She said, "Do you want to go blind?" I said, "Well, no." She goes, "Then do what I tell you." She said, "I don't care if you do it or not, because if you die, I'm still going to be here. So it's up to you." I said, "Well, in that case, give me all that stuff. I'm on board."
You know? Yeah, this is why I never go to the hospital, because I think they would end up killing me.
I mean, her bedside manner was brutal. It was true. She made a believer out of me.
Yeah, my daughter just got a double organ transplant. She was diabetic for 20 years, and
oh wow!
So now she has a new pancreas and a new kidney, and yeah, she hasn't had to take insulin in 3 months now since the procedure, and so she's loving it.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to experience a miracle, and with her it was a double miracle, because you know, when you've had diabetes since you were 10 years old, and for the last 20 years you've had nothing but, you know, heartache and mm-hmm. going to doctors. And I mean, I used to say, I think you have a frequent flyer concept, going to the hospital constantly all the time. They should give you benefits or something. But, you know, it just, you know, now she goes once a month for checkups, and that's it. And it's nice.
Wow. Good deal. That's good news. So, Rob, how can our listeners reach out to you?
Through you. Yeah. They should knock on your door and say, I want to know more about that Rob guy. Especially at 2:00 in the morning, you know. But, or they can, you know, the simple way, you know, if you don't want to be bothered, they can go to my website. It's anspachmedia.com. And you're probably going to spell it wrong anyway. So it's ANSPACH media.com. You're going to find a lot of information. Over 700 blog articles are on there. So, you know, what I want you to do is binge read every single one of them. It's going to take you a while. And then buy all my books, because that's the only way you're going to appreciate who I am and what I do, and all my sarcasm. And then I'll be happy.
Which is the first book they should buy?
The first book, well, is called Share, and it's in back of me right there, and it's all about social media, and a lot of the concepts that I wrote in there in 2013 still work today. I mean, it's 27 ways to boost your online experience, build trust, and attract followers, and I think there's only one that doesn't apply anymore, only because that particular thing doesn't work. But Okay, you got 26 of them that still work. So, you know, so if you want to, you know, do social media better, you know, then get share. Now, if you're like me, where you're over 50, then grab the No Experience Necessary: Social Media for the Boomers, Gen Xers, and the Over 50 Entrepreneur. And you know, I wrote that when I was 47, so I actually couldn't read it until I was until I was over 50. But you know, it's going to benefit you, because what that does is it teaches you how to use social media to boost your legacy, you know, to showcase your passion and to you know, get people on board for, you know, what you're doing. One book that I highly encourage everybody to get is Lessons from the Dojo, and it's 101 Kick Butt Ways to Improve Your Business, Life, and Relationships. And I actually wrote that book in 2015, and you know, every chapter, every page is a new lesson. So it's a very easy read, but it gives you 101 ways to just, you know, kind of, you know, reset your thinking. And I based it on belts of karate. So if you've ever been into martial arts, you know, my kids were, you'll read a few chapters, and then it kind of escalates. Okay, now you're a white belt, and you read more chapters, and you kind of get your thinking to, you know, okay, this is how I need to do things. And then it gravitates up to that black belt level. And so, you know, the book wasn't as well received as some of the other ones, but, you know, the people that have read it really liked it. But I think more people, when they're searching, they think of it as more of a karate book and not as a life lesson, entrepreneur building book. And then if you really like sarcasm, which I do, I mean, I think you'll enjoy the Rob Versus books. And you can actually just go type Rob Versus, ROBVERSUS.com, and it will take you right to Amazon, and you can buy those 4 books. And I actually have enough material to write book 5, but I have to put book 5 on the back burner for a while, because I have a couple client books that have to get done. So book 5 won't come out till probably 2022.
Okay. Well, Rob, thanks so much for being with us. It was really a pleasure meeting you, and we really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. It's great being here.
LaurieAnn, do you have anything?
I do not. I just really enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to the scammer one, because that one is sort of something that I just love to hear about, because there's just so much of it out there. So
and right now, you know, that the Rob versus the Scammers came out in 2019, but you know, right now with COVID and the pandemic, please, people, stop posting your vaccination cards online, because that contains your birthday. It contains the location of where you got your vaccination. It contains, you know, the vaccination, what vaccination you got. And, you know, scammers use that information, and they can find out who you are. And, you know, they'll call up and say, hey, this is so-and-so from, you know, whatever place you got your vaccination from. And they kind of make it so that you believe they are legitimate, but they're a scammer and they want more information. And people are giving them their credit card. They're giving them their ID. And it's like, people stop.
Yeah.
You know, I may be sarcastic, but I'm also one of the good guys. And that is exactly why I put out that first book, Rob versus the Scammers, to teach people to fight back, because I hate scammers, and I mess with them all the time. For that reason, I want to waste their time so that they don't scam someone else. And, you know, it just, I've seen so many people get ripped off, and they lose their money, and there's nothing that the police can do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these scammers are overseas. They're from Pakistan, they're from India, they're from foreign countries that, you know, we can't go after.
And I think they lose their self-confidence too with that when they scam a lot of people too. So
yeah,
thanks for that. I appreciate that, because I really do believe everybody should pick that up, because I can't believe even some of the things that people believe in that really, even if you're telling them it's a scam.
Yeah.
But just really instill that in there. Just be careful. Yeah. So thanks for that. And thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit us at lifterstory.com.